Hello guys, kindly check this application out. When I click generate, it gives me a new recipe. Wow, so cool. In this video, we're going to develop this using React hooks and Redux. If you want to type along with me, can you install the following? 1. npm install Redux. 2. npm install React Redux. 3. npm install Redux DevTools extension. And 4. npm install Axios. With all said and done, let's begin. Thank you very much. Let's create 3 folders in our SRC folder. Now we call the first one assets. Create another folder and call it components. And create another one and call it Redux. Good. Now let's take the first one, assets. Now the assets, let's create a folder and call images. Good. Now let's create another folder in assets and call it spinners. Good. Now let's get a try image for this application and a try spinner for this application. So I go to my desktop, I put the image there, then I drag the spinner to there, to a spinner. So that is that for the assets folder. You can close this. Good. Now next we're going to talk about, let's take the app. Now next is the component. Now the component, let's create a folder and call it recipe. E-I-P-E, recipe. Now inside the recipe folder, let's create a file and call it recipe.app.js. Good. Now with our boilerplate, instead of ordinary div, why don't we make it React.fragment? So inside that we can say h1 tag and we say hello. Now let's link that to the app.js to view on the screen. We go to app.js, then we say recipe, R-E-C, and get the recipe app. Now it has been imported for us, so that is that. Now let's check our screen to see. Great, we have hello on the screen. That means we're ready to go. Now before we continue, let's look at the structure for the application. Now in this application, I want us to have a card. Okay, so inside the card, we're going to have the header as usual. We put the title there. Then we're going to have a container. Okay, we have a container inside the card, which we're going to divide into two, the top and the bottom. Okay, the top and the bottom. And the top, we divide the top into left and right, something like this. Left and right. So left, right, bottom, top and down, left, right, bottom. So that is that for the page setup. And the page setup, we're going to just put everything in the middle of the page. So that is that for the setup. So let's move to the application. So to begin with, we take our hello off and create a div and call card. So we say div. Inside div, let's give the class name card. Good. Now we need inside the card, we need what? Card header and body. So I can just copy it inside twice, and I give the first one card header, and I give the second one card body, card B-O-D-Y. So that is that for. Let me expand it. Okay. So that is that for the card. So next, let's take them one after the other. Let's take the first one, the card header. The card header. Now let's give the card header an h5 tag. Then inside that we can give it the heading. So we say random food recipe generator. So that is that with the header. So next let's check that out. Let's bring everything to the center. So we say let's go to our CSS, then call the body. We say body. Inside the body let's have display grid. Then inside that let's give it place items center. Then height, we'll say 100 view height. Then we can give it a background color hash d1 d1 d1. Good. Next let's give the font style good. Italic. Font family, we say cursive. Good. That is that. Let's check that out. Good. Now let's take the next one, which is what? The card header. And give it in style. So we say card header, we say background, let's give it linear gradient. Okay. Linear gradient, let's take 2 right, comma hash 1a 1d 2. Then we give it another one 200285. Let's check that out. Great. Next thing to do is to take the what's the name, the h5. Okay. So copy the same thing, then h5. So inside that we can say give me a color white smoke, then font weight bold, then lastly we can say font size 25 pixels. Good. Let's check that out. Great. So our header is ready. Now let's look at what to do next. Good. Now let's go to our body. Now with our body, let's create a container that we're going to call recipe container. So we'll say div, inside that we'll say class name equals recipe container. Okay. Now the container, let's give it some width and height. So we say dot container, we give you width 600 pixels, then height we say auto. So next in our recipe container, let's create another div, 2 divs, and call them top and bottom. So we create them div. Good. Then we rearrange them well. Good. Now the first one, let's call it top container, and the second one bottom. Bottom container. So let's take the first one, top container. Now in the top container, what do we need? We need the left container and the right container. So we say div, say class name equals left container. So we copy that the keyword right container. So RGT. Good. So that is that for the left and right container. Now let's take the left container. The left container, what do we need? We need an H6 tag that will say ingredients. Ingredients. Let's check that out. Good. Now we need another, inside the same left container, we need another UL tag. Good. Now inside that we can have an LI tag where we're going to list our ingredients. We say good do. So let's copy that. Good. Let's check that out. Great. So that is that. So let's go to the next one. The right container. And the right container, what do we need? We need the first, we need a button. So we say over here, we say, let's give it a div and call it what, class name, and call it btn container. Okay. So inside that we can have our button. We say button, and inside that we say generate. Okay, so that is one. Now beneath the button we need an image container. So this is another div with a class name equals img container. Okay, where inside that we can have our image. So we call our image tag src equals, what's the name of the image? Let's call it try image. Then we can give it an alt because, so that is that. With the image, let's import the image. So we say import try image from where? No assets. Yeah, we get to assets, then images, then the name of the image. Okay, let's check the name of the image, food jpg. So we say food.jpg. Okay, now let's check the image. Great. Image 2 is ready. Now beneath the image 2 we have another name here. Let's check that out. So where is it? Excuse me. Get the image container, get down beneath it, you can have another h6 tag. H6 tag, that will say name. Good. Okay, let's check that out. Good. It will turn to two columns. This is one. Display flex to turn the left and right into two columns. So let's see how to do that. So we go to the top container. Then over here we can say display flex. Let's check that out. Told you. Now justify content space between. Let's add that one too. justify content space between. Good. Great. So what we need to do next to make this generate to go to the, how do you call it, the far right, and make the name the center. So let's see how to do that. So we take them one after the other. Let's take the what is this, right container, and see what we need to do. So let's copy the right container. Good. So we say display flex, then justify contents, we say flex start. Good. Then we can say flex direction, let's give it column. Good. So now let's take the next one, which is what, btn container. Okay, then let's push the button to the right. So we say so btn container, what do we do? Display flex justify content flex end. And let's give some margin bottom 5 pixels. Let's check that out. Great. No, let's work on the button. Good. Let's give it a class name. Class name equals btns. Okay, so let's create a button. So over here I can say css key btns. Inside that, let's give it the width 100 pixels, and the height 30 pixels. And what again? Let's give it the color. The color, I would say white smoke. Then let's give it a background color. Let's copy the one with the header. Let's copy everything. Good. Let's paste it here. Good. Next one. What again? Border. To border none. Outline. So none. Font weight. Font weight bold, and border radius. Yeah, okay. Border radius 5 pixels. Now let's check that out. Good. Button is ready. Now next thing is that image container. So let's do that too. Let's check it out. Good. So image container. What do we need? Good. Now the image container, let's give it the width of 260 pixels and a height 210 pixels. Then what again? Let's give it the background color black. Then our border radius 5 pixels. Let's check that. Good. Now the image too. Now let's take the image. Let's see. Good. Image to, let's give it width of 250 pixels then a height of 200 pixels. Then let's give it a border radius of 5 pixels. Sorry, this is going to be IMG. So that is that. Let's check that out. Good. Now we need to send out the image. Okay. So let's create a class name called center. We say center, centered. So we say display, flex, justify content, center. Then align items, center. Yeah. So let's add a center to the image container. So we'll say center. Good. Let's check that out. Good. Now we can see our image is centered in the container. The next thing to do is to move the name to the middle. Okay, so let's see how to do that too. Copy the where we know we are in H6. What is this? Right, container H6. Okay. So I say right container H6. So we say display flex and justify content center. Okay, let's check that out. Good. So that is that. So done with the top container. Now the next one is the bottom container. So let's go grab the bottom container. Good. On the bottom container, let's give it some width and height. So go down. Good. Let's give it some width. We say 600 pixels. And height, we say auto. Let's say margin left 10 pixels, and then margin right 10 pixels. Let's check that out. Good. So next is to look at what goes into the bottom container. So inside that, we need our method container. So we say let's create a div, and class name equals method container. Now inside the container, we need an H6 tag. H6 tag. Now we say method. Then we also need what? Article. Okay, now inside the article, let's give some p tag there. Good. We can write anything for now. Good. Let's check that out. Great. Now let's style this later. We did the CSS, then we say let's H6 tag. Let me see if I can give all of them the same tag. We say font weight and font size 18 pixels. Font weight bold. Then what again? Let's give the color. Let's give it something like 285. Good. Let's check that out. Good, 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 good. This is looking interesting. So guys, that is that. I think we're ready for Redux now to fetch the API. So let's see how we're going to do that using Redux. Let's go to close everything and go to the Redux folder. Good. Good. So now we're in Redux. So to begin Redux, let's create a file in our Redux folder and call it store.js. Let's go to our Redux sim folder and create another file and call it reducer.js. Okay. In the next same Redux folder, let's create another folder and call it recipe Redux. Now inside the recipe Redux folder, let's create 3 files. First, let's call recipe dot action types. Good. JS. Next one, let's create another one and call it recipe dot actions dot js. Good. On third one, another file, we say recipe dot reducers dot js. Good. So that is that. Let's close all this. Good. Now let's take the first one, the action types. The action types. So to begin with, we say export const load data request, okay, which is equals to load data request. Let's copy the same thing, put it there. Good. We copy all of them 3 times. Good. Now let's do some editing. Next will be load data success. And the last one, yes, last one, failure. Good. Okay, so that is that with the action types. Now next thing to do is to go to the recipe.actions. Now with the actions, first thing is to import the action types. So we say import what? Load data request. Good. Now we need this. We need to import all of them, so I can just copy one and just come on. Yeah. So that is that. Let's rearrange them, then do the editing. So next one is going to be what? Success. Good. And last one is going to be failure. Okay, sorry. Good. So that is that with the import. Next to import is to import actions. So we say import actions from where? Actions. That is that. So finally, we can say export const load data equals to a function. Good. That return what? Async rate. Get async. That returns a function, a try, 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 and catch. Good, so that is that. Now to begin with, we say dispatch. Good. Now inside dispatch, what are we dispatching? So let's take the first one. We say dispatch. Dispatch what? Dispatch a type called what? Load data request. Good. Now load data request. Let's get our URL. So we say let's data URL equal to. Good. Now let's go to Google and get our URL. So we say Google, then inside that we say mail API. Good. So we go to the API, the maildb.com. Good. So from there, we go to the API. Good. Our API is ready. What we need to do is to go to the API. There's one that says look up a single random mail. So we copy that one. Good. Let's check it out. Good. So we can see our mails. All the data has been represented. So let's copy that. Yeah, so we paste it in. Great. So that is that. Now we can say let response be equal to await ashes dot get data URL. Good. So now we can dispatch what? A type called what? Load data success. And comma the payload. What do we give it? We say response dot data. So that is that with the try. Now how about the catch? When we have an error, so what do we do? Then dispatch what? Dispatch a type we call what? Load data failure. Comma in payload what? Error. Good. So that is that. We are done for recipe.actions. Now next to do is to go to recipe.reducers. Now over here, what do we do? First thing to do is to import the action types again because we need them. We imported them already, so let's go copy them. Good. Paste it here. Nice one. So now let's create a feature key in the store. Okay, so we say export const, let's call it recipe key equals the name in code. So we say recipe store. So inside the store, we're gonna have the name recipe store. Okay. So let's create our initial state. We say let's initial state equal to data, let's give it what, empty array, then comma, loading, let's give it false, comma, then error message, let's give it what, empty. So now we can continue and say that export const recipe reducer equal to the function, good, where we can have our state equal to initial state, comma, action. Further distraction, we say let the type, comma, payload equal to what, action. Okay. So we can start our switch statement. We say switch into bracket type, switch into bracket type, where the case is what, load data request. What do you do? Then return what, give us a state back, comma, then make loading true. So that is that for a case. Oh, sorry, why this? Let's take it off. Okay. A case load data request. How about a case load data success? What do we do? You can just copy it. Good. A case load data success. Yeah. What do we do? We send the state back, make loading false, come on, then give the data the payload. Good. That is that. How about a case load data failure? What do you do? Give us the state back, there's nothing like loading. So let's call the error message and give it the payload. Good. Now let's write our default state. We say default column return state. So that is that. We are done with our recipe reducers. And now what we need to do is to import, go to the root reducer and import our recipe.reducer. So we say import recipe reducer, does that. So next to import is combine reducers. So we say import combine reducers from Redux. So that is that. We can now say let root reducer equal to combine reducers into bracket. Let's call the recipe key. So we say recipe key again and give it a value recipe reducer again. Let's call the import the recipe key that's been imported for us. So that is that. We can finally export our root reducer. So we say export root reducer. Now export the root reducer to where? To the store. So we go to the store and import our root reducer. So we say import root reducer from root reducer. Very good. Next to import is create store. Come on. And what? Apply middleware. Apply middleware from Redux. Yeah, that is that. Okay, next we also need to import what? Compose with DevTools from Redux DevTools extension. Great. Lastly, we say import tank from Redux tank. Good. So that is that. To finally begin, we can say let all middlewares equal to, we create an array for them and we say tank. In future we can add more middlewares with just a comma. So we say let store equal to create store to bracket root reducer comma compose with DevTools into bracket what? Into bracket, let's call the middleware. Into bracket, let's bring it down. We say apply middlewares into bracket. Let's call all the middlewares. And say I say middlewares. So that is that. Good. So apply middlewares then into bracket. Let's call all the middlewares. So finally we can export what? Store. Good. Now export store to where? To the app.js. So we go to app.js, then import store. So we say import store from where? From Redux, then from store. So that is that. We also need to import provider from Redux. That is that. Now let's wrap the provider around the component. So we say provider. Inside the provider we can have a store plus store. Cut the second part down. Good. So that is that. Rearrange it. So our store is ready. The next thing to do is to check our browser to see if there's any complaint. Okay, we can close this. Great, no complaint. Let's check our store to see if everything is represented. I'll go to my store. Chat view, good. Raw view, nice. Now our store is ready. Now next thing to do is to link the store to the component so that we can fetch the API. So let's see how to do that. Let's close all this Redux stuffs. Good. And go to our components. To component, we go to recipe app, then import use effect. Good. Next to import is use selector and use dispatch. Good. From Redux. So that is that. Now let's initialize the use dispatch. So we can say here initialize use dispatch. Good. So we say let's dispatch equal to use dispatch. Good. So dispatch is ready. So what are we dispatching now? We're going to use use effect to dispatch. So we say use effect. Inside the use effect, we have a function. Good. And outside that, we can have our empty array. Good. So we say dispatch what? Load data. Now where is the load data? The load data is in Redux. And go to recipe.actions. So when you go to where you see that load data. So let's import load data. So we go up and we say import load data. Good. So load data is ready. Now let's check. If I run it, I check my store, I should see my data. Let's check the store. Yeah, guys, we got data. Okay, we got data, guys. You can see the chart view, the raw view. Okay, our data is ready. Now next thing to do is to bring the data to be able to view the store on the component. So how to do that? Let's check it out. So we say good. Bring it down. Let's say view a store. So let's say let's view recipe. Good. Recipe equals use selector. Inside that we can have a function. Good. We're going to have the state. Good. That will return what? Return the state with the recipe key. So we say where caps RECEIPE, the recipe key. Good. Now let's import this recipe key. Where can we find a recipe key? It's in the recipe.reducer. Go to recipe.reducer. Up here we have recipe key here. So let's go import it. So back here we can say import what? Recipe key. Good. So that's been imported for us. What do we need to do? We need to check it out. The recipe, the view recipe, whether it's working. By calling JSON with a break tag. So we say break tag. Inside that we can say JSON dot stringify with a bracket. Let's paste our recipe there. Oh no. Let's paste our view recipe there. View recipe there. Let's check that out. You can see our data is working. So we good to go. Now we can call the data into our components. So next thing to do now is let's take the pre-tab I was making our ugly get better. So now we're gonna call the JSS to bring the pre-tag in. So now let's go through our body. Then we're gonna cut the recipe container out. So let's check that recipe container. We need to write some JSS, so we need to cut the recipe container out. So let's do that. Recipe container, good. Now cut it. Good. Now after cutting it, now we need to write the JSS file. Well, we're gonna say that if view recipe dots data dots length equals 0, then what do you do? Then display now. Otherwise, it will give us a react.fragment. A react.fragment. Good. So inside this react.fragment, we can have our another JSS to do our mapping. So we say view recipe dot data dot mails dot map. Good. No, equals to. Inside that we can have a function. Good. So that is that. So inside that we can say item, then that should return what? Return a div. A div which give us a key. So we say key equals item dot id mails. Just check that out if there is any complaint. Good, no complaint. Okay, that means we're ready to go. So now we can paste everything inside this div. So I pasted there nicely. Now what we need to do is to rearrange things again. So I can just copy div to div. Good. Let me say good. So everything will be rearranged for us. Good. So we're ready to go. So now we can say, let's check this thing again. Good. Everything is ready. Let's check our store. Let's check our row view. We can see our ID meal, not meals. So let's check here and take the S off. ID mail. Good. Item ID mail. So let's go to the store again. Good. Now let's see what to change first. Let's take the one after that. Now ingredients. Now let's go to ingredients and change them. Ingredients. So over here URL. So we say, let's go to the store. To get the ingredients, we can say, let me make it bigger so we can see it properly. You can see the string measure being join that to the what's the name, string ingredient. So measure and ingredient together. Okay, so let's take the first one, string measure 1. Let's copy that and bring it here. So we say inside that we say item dot string measure 1. Good. Then inside that, let's go back again and take this thing again, the ingredients string ingredient 1. So let's copy that too. Good. Good. Item dot string ingredient 1. So that is that, guys. Good. This time we can come close and tab. Good. So that is it. Let's check it out. You can see we have 4 pounded to 1 centimeter thickness chicken. Good. So that is that. What we need to do next to copy it, then we just do some editing. So copy, I'll just paste them. Oh, sorry. Good. I think we have enough. So let's just change the numbers. 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 12. Now let's check this thing out. Now let's check it out. Great, you can see. Now let's make up to 20. Some have long. So what we're gonna do is to copy more. 12. So we have 8 more to go. Now copy more C. Paste it there. Good. So 12, we say 13, 20. Good. So we can take the extra ones off. Good. That is that, guys. So let's check it out. Good. So that is this. Now you can see we have extra bullet points. So we need to take away the bullet points. So we go to UL, CSS, then we say UL, and we say list style. Now let's check that out. Good. You can see we have no bullets. So next thing to do is to work on the image. So the image, we go there. Let's look at the image name. Let's go to the row. You see the image name here. I'll just copy that. Good. And let's go. So that is the, let's go to the image. So over here we say item dot. Good. Now let's check the image too. You can see the image is also changing. Next is to change the name. Go to the store again. The name is the name. Copy that too. String mail. Good. Copy that. Then we say name. Good. So over here we say item dot, paste it. Let's check that out too. Good. You can see the name being written there. The next thing is the instructions. Let's go to the instruction. Let's copy that too. String dot instructions. So we go to the instruction, the method, and just paste it there. We say item dot instructions. So let's check that out. Good. You can see the instruction immediately also ready. Now what we need to do next is to use the, what do you call it, the button to generate more recipes. So to do that, we say, let's go to the button, good, and give it an on click. We say on click, LCK, good. On click equals, we say handle btn. Let's copy that, create the function. Let's go up. So we say handle generate button. So we select handle btn equals to a function. This is where we can say dispatch load data. Let's copy the same thing here. So that is that. Let's check that out. Good. When I click generate, another food comes up. Generate another recipe comes up. So now what we need to do is to center this header, then we add a spinner to it. Okay. So let's see how to do that. Let's go and make this header. We can just say header, cut header. I just say centered. Good. So that is that. So now next thing to do is to what? Get this thing, the spinner ready. So for our spinner, let's create the components and create another folder and call it spinner. Now inside the spinner folder, let's create a spinner app. So we'll create a file and call it spinner app.js. So with our boilerplate, good. Instead of ordinary div, why don't we make it react.fragment? Inside that, let's take this thing off. Good. Inside that, we can have our spinner container. Inside that, we say div with the class name equals spinner container. Now inside the spinner container, let's create an image tag. Double handle the spinner src equals spinner image. Okay. Alt name equals then closes. Now let's import spinner. We say import spinner image from where? Nope. Yes, spinner. No, handle assets. So we go to spinners, then we go to call the spinner image. What's the spinner image? Let's go check it out. Loading doc.give. So we say loading dog.gif. Let's now to check our spinner. Before the app loads, okay, I need to put the spinner over there before the app loads. So what we need to do is to see this card. Good. We create a JSF before the card loads. So I need to cut the card, then write a JSS, then paste it back. So take it up to the card, cut it. So let's write the JSS. So inside that we say view if view recipe dot loading equals true. What do you do? Then display spinner. So we call our spinner app. Yeah. Let's import spinner app. Again, it has been imported for us. So otherwise give us what? A React fragment. A React dot fragment. Okay. Let's take the second one. A React dot fragment. Okay. This is now 2. I'll take the first one off. So that is that. So inside the React dot fragment, we can now put our card. So put our card there. So let's check that out. So when I run it, you can see our spinner. Now our spinner is too big. We need to check the width and height. Now the width and height we can use for the spinner. We can use the the spinner container and give it the recipe container. Spinner container, go to recipe container and give it the same width and height. Okay, so we say comma spinner container. Okay, let's add the img. Img. Okay, let's check that out. Man, too big. Let's take the image or the image container. So let's go. Got it. Let's get to image container. Yeah. Okay, the image itself, we can paste it here. Let's check that out. Great. Yo guys, that is that. Thank you so much for sticking to catching the next one. Don't forget to do good. Say peace.